Okay, factorise x cubed minus 4x squared minus 7x plus 10, given that x minus 1 is a factor. Now, when we come to the term factorise, okay, we'll be used to this from GCSE. We were usually given a quadratic like this, and when you factorised it, you put it into brackets, okay, as you can see here. So the solution when we factorise x squared plus 6x plus 8 is given here, and ultimately you found two numbers here that multiplied to give 8, and then they added to give 6. 2 and 4 adds to give 6. And when you expand this double bracket, you end up with x squared plus 6x plus 8, don't you? And that is a quadratic, okay? For A level, we're going to be looking at cubics, okay? Not quadratics, cubics. It's called a cubic because the highest power is a 3 here. So how do we do it? Well, with a quadratic, the highest power is 2, and we normally expect there to be 2 brackets when we factorise it. With a cubic, the highest power is 3, so we're going to expect there to be 3 brackets, okay? Right, like that. Now, they've given us one of the brackets here, okay? So they said x minus 1 is a factor, so I know I can write x minus 1 here. Question is then, what goes in these 2 brackets, okay? And that's what we're going to determine. And once we find the approach, we're going to look at an approach to find these 2 brackets. We've then fully factorised it, okay? The key to this is appreciating that the last 2 brackets here, if we just focus on these 2 brackets, obviously I don't know what's going in them, but if you think about it, if you've got 2 brackets, if I was to expand them, it would give me a quadratic, wouldn't it? It would give me like x squared plus something x plus a constant when you've got 2 brackets, just like I had here on my yellow pad, yeah, with 2 brackets here, and it produced this quadratic. So if I keep that first bracket as it is, and if I was to expand that, think about what I would expect, okay, what I would expect. So when I multiply the firsts, I'd have like x squared, wouldn't I? And in this case, it would be x squared, okay? It's not going to be 2x squared or 3x squared. It's just going to be x squared, okay? And I know that simply by looking at what I've got over here. It's just x cubed. There's no number in front of it, okay? So we just need to have x squared there, okay? Because if you think about it, when you expand this, okay, when you multiply out, I'd multiply the firsts, and I'd get x cubed, wouldn't I? X times x squared is x cubed, so that sort of sorts that out for me there. But I don't know what, something x plus like a number at the end, I don't know what that's going to be. So what I do is I call it, the number in front of the x, I'm just going to call it b, okay? So I'm going to say plus bx, and the number at the end, a constant, I don't know what it is, so I'm going to call it c, okay, for that. And if I can work out what b is and what c is, I've then got a quadratic, just like I had here, and then I can factorise it, okay, and get 2 brackets. So, how do I work out what b and c are? Well, what we do is we look at both sides here, the left-hand side, the right-hand side, and the first thing I do is I focus on the constant here. If you notice here, my constant is 10, okay? I've got a constant of 10. If you look over here, we're going to see, okay, if I was to expand this, how would I get my constant term? In other words, you know, if I was to multiply out, okay, where would I get just like a number like 10 here? Now, if you were to multiply the x by everything in the second bracket, you're going to have x involved, aren't you? It's going to be x times x squared, x times bx, x times c. It's always going to be an x. If you multiply the minus 1 by the x squared, by the bx, by the c, the place where I'm going to get a constant is when I multiply the lasts together there, yeah? So I have minus 1 times c, which is minus c. So what we're doing here is we're equating both sides, and we're looking at constants that are on both sides. So on this side here I've got a 10. On this side, to get a constant, I'll be multiplying this out here, and I get minus c. So 10 is minus c, and that means then that c has got to be minus 10. So I've worked out what c is, okay? Now to work out what b is, I've got to do a little bit more work, but essentially what I'm going to do now, I'm going to look at what's in front of the x squared. In front of the x squared is minus 4, so I'm going to write minus 4 here, okay? So I'm focusing on the x squared. So if I was to multiply out here, we need to look at where would I get x squared from. Think about the x here. Well, if I multiply the x by the x squared, that will give me x cubed, so that's no good. If I multiply the x by the bx, I get bx squared, wouldn't I? X times bx is bx squared. So in front of the x squared will be b. But in addition to that, I'd also get an x squared by multiplying these here, wouldn't I? Minus 1 times x squared is minus 1x squared. So minus 1 will be in front of the x squared there. And I've basically got my x squareds on the left, which is minus 4, and my x squared on the right, which is b minus 1. And from here then I've got an equation. I could take that minus 1 over, it becomes a plus 1, and I've got my b. So that means then b is equal to minus 3. So now I know what my b is, I know what my c is. My b is minus 3. My c is minus 10, okay? And then I've got a quadratic here which I can factorize, okay? So in both brackets I'm going to put x. I need two numbers that multiply to give minus 10, add up to give minus 3. So the two numbers are 5 and 2, and I need to make that a minus 5 and a plus 2 there, and that will expand to give me that quadratic there. And you can see now I've got my cubic factorized into 3 separate brackets.